guys, thanks for joining me today. First things first, say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're at, and let me know also how long you've been playing the Oud for. I want to know what your level is, so that in case this stuff is too easy, we can do something a little bit different. Alright, so take a minute there, write down some comments, any thing you want me to know, put it in the live chat, and we can get started shortly. Today we're going to do a very basic beginner lesson. Going to go through the basics, run through that, review that. I've got lots of videos where I talk about the basics, but we'll review through that, holding, tuning the Oud and all that stuff. And then we will get into some beginner etudes that I wrote to really help people play melody at the same time playing very easy stuff. So we'll go through that. So put down where you're from, say hello in the live chat, and let me know how long you've been playing the Oud for. Alright, hi Carol, thanks for joining again. Awesome. Hey Robert, hey Omar, okay. On and off for 40 years, okay, cool. Started playing a few weeks ago, awesome, okay. Hi from London, I sold my Oud. Sold your Oud, why did you sell your Oud? Are you gonna get another Oud, Yara? What happened? Alright. Okay, now that we've got some people here, kind of know your level now. Oh, hey Azad, thanks for joining. It's great to see you. Alright. Alright, we were cut off there for a second, but we're back now. Alright, so this month, before we get started, this month we've got some deals on Oud lessons, private Zoom or Skype lessons with me, just until the end of January. 2 lessons for a discount of 20%. Get that out of the way. There's a link in the description where you can sign up for that. I've only got a few spots left. So if you're interested in making some headway, learning something specific, these lessons are customizable. We can plan, what we want to discuss, what we want to learn in the lessons, and hopefully it'll give you something to work on to really boost your playing and learn something specific. So the link is in the description. Make sure you check that out. Also, if you haven't already, I rewrote some Oud method etudes from the Jamil Bashir method. The link to that is also in the description. Sign up for that if you haven't already. It'll get you the PDF notation where you can follow the etudes as well. And I did some of them in my previous YouTube live. And sign up for that. You'll get on the newsletter automatically if you're not already on the newsletter, and you'll hear about any other Oud lessons that are coming up, and you'll hear about any deals and promos that I have on Oud lessons. At the end of the month, I've got something brewing in the works for the foundation program. If you want to do distance learning and follow one of my Oud foundation programs, so stay in touch with that. I'll have some information for you at the end of the month about that. Okay, and then today we're gonna run through again holding the right hand, left hand, tuning the Oud briefly, and then we're gonna get straight into some new etudes. So you can also download the etudes, the notation for that, in the link in the description. And so make sure you download that before we get started, in case you want to print it out, follow along, or I'll also put it on the screen here for you so you can check that out. All right. Okay, let's see if there's any more comments here. We gotta get all right, hello from Michigan. All right, 15 years ago. All right, okay, cool. All right, need to get an Oud which sound is more to my taste. Yeah, I feel you, man. That makes sense. All right, hello from Indonesia. Gambus player. All right, great to see you. Yeah, there was a connection problem, but we're back now. All right, so if it does come up, if I do see that the connection gets disconnected, I will pause and then get back to it when it comes back up. All right, let's grab your Oud. Alrighty. Okay, hopefully you can see that well. Okay, so the most important thing when you're holding the Oud, review this, get your right leg up. Whether you cross your legs and sit on a chair, or you use a footstool like this, get your right leg up. The Oud needs to be sitting on top of your right leg, okay? And your leg can be right underneath the large sound hole around there. And then your chest touches the back of the Oud here. Your arm comes around as though you're giving somebody a headlock. And the only area that's touching the Oud is your forearm, is touching the edge of here. After you play for a while, you should get like a mark on your forearm. So if you want to mitigate that, you can buy like an arm sleeve or something, or you can cut up a sock. I use this on my forearm when I'm practicing for a long period of time. It takes the edge off. And also for those of you who are beginning, when you want to be able to see over the strings, you know, like if you can't see over the strings and you need to hold the Oud at an angle a little bit to get familiar, what you can do is get some of this carpet stopper. This stuff is great, and it really takes the tension off your body. So get some of this carpet stopper. You can get at a dollar store or hardware store. Cut it out, put it on your leg, and then put the Oud there. The Oud just completely stays, takes some tension away from your body, and it does some of the work for you holding the Oud. And that way you can put it at a slight angle so you can see over the string, so you don't have to be like this all the time, right? So that helps a little bit. It also keeps the Oud in place and keeps you more comfortable for a long period of time. So holding the Risha again, we'll briefly go through this stuff. You're pinching it like this between your thumb and index finger, and it's coming out between your first knuckle and the tip of your finger. It's poking out a little bit, about a centimeter or so, and then your thumb is at a nice angle like this, and then the fingers curl and clasp a little bit, very gently, not too tight, not too loose, and that's what you got there. And then the right hand movement is very important. None of this stuff happening. When you stroke the strings, the only thing that's coming up is your arm is your hand. The only thing that's coming up is your hand. Up, down. If you want to warm up, as a beginner, you can just do this without even touching the strings. Just activate the right muscles. Imagine somebody's tied a string to your thumb and is pulling it up, letting it go. Pulling it up, letting it go. Pulling up your thumb and letting it go. So that's all there is to it. When you're stroking, don't be afraid if you hit some stray strings. Just play. Don't be afraid of the strings. You got to play through those strings and not be afraid of it. Develop a nice, strong wrist movement, and hit the heck out of it. Don't be afraid of. Don't hold back. Like, you really have to learn to get the sound out of the oud in order to play it well. Later on, you can learn to pull back, but develop the strength. Don't hesitate. Just force your way through things. Now for the left hand. Left hand comes as though you're giving the oud a handshake. And then over here, we've got no gap, none of this, no gap underneath the fingerboard, right? We don't want that. There's always some contact. And your thumb is just hovering up here. When it comes to hitting the notes, especially on the bottom C string here, you want to adjust where your finger is, so that, like, you can't hold your fingers way out here and bring your finger back. That's too much distance, right? So you need to adjust a little bit so that your finger doesn't move so much. When you come over here, then you can adjust a little bit more when you're hitting the notes over here. Today we're going to focus on the top C string and the bottom C string and the G string. So these two. All right, we're going to do some etudes for that and learn some of the C major positions. All right, let's get to tuning the oud now. All right. If you have any questions as we go, please put them in the chat and I'll get to them after, okay? But for now, let's look at tuning the oud. So let's see where my oud is at. We're going to start with the bottom C string. Ooh, I'm right on. Okay, so you can get these strings in tune if you use a tuner. My G is pretty good, so I'm not gonna need to do any changing. If you need to change, usually when I tune by ear, I tune my G string first to the tuner. I get that right, and then I tune the rest of the strings. But that's a topic for another video. I've talked about that before. In other live videos, but for now, if you just use a tuner, just get your oud in tune. We've got the bottom C string, C or Do, then we've got G or Sol, then we have D or Re, then we have A or La, then we have F or Fa, and then we have our bass C or Do. Okay, so that's tuning the oud. That's the oud tuning that I use in most of my videos. Quick note about oud tuning. You can tune this second bass string, or first bass string. You can tune this one to a G. That's another valid tuning. You can also tune it to an E. That's another valid tuning. This string, you can also tune it to a D or a C in most cases. I've also seen it tuned to a B as well. That would be an all-fourths tuning. You can have C, G, D, A, E, and B if you want to tune it all fourths. It's not very commonly used. I use this tuning to resonate well with the maqams that I play most of the time. Sometimes for different techniques and stuff, you need to use different tunings, but for the basic, most versatile tuning that you can use right now that will help you play 95% of oud repertoire out there is C, G, D, A, F, C. All right? Okay. A note about difference between like Persian music and Arabic music. When I started playing the oud, I was learning the Persian style, and the Persian, we tune this F into a G. And the reason why is because G is an important for the daska and the maqams and scales that we play. Having the G as an open drone note is really important. So for Persian style, usually their ouds are tuned to a G. So keep that in mind. But for our purposes today, just you can have it tuned to F. So again, use your tuner, tune it up if you haven't already, and let me show you what we got here today. Okay, so this is a new etude that I wrote to help you master the C major scale, or maqam ajam on do. So we have quarter notes and half notes. So we have on each of these quarter notes is one beat. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is worth one count, one beat. This note here is worth 2 beats, and then this note in the middle of the lines here is C, our highest C open string. And I have the fingering here for you to check. So 0 means open string, and then number 1 means let's see, our first finger. So you can't see it here, so first finger. Number 2 would be your second finger, right? And then 3 would be your ring finger, and then 4 would be your pinky finger. So here we have open, open, first finger, open, first finger, again because it's D, it's the same, I didn't write it there. Then third finger for E or mi, and then same fingerings all the way through. All right, over here we have C, D, E. Okay, we know D is using the first finger, C is using the open string, so we didn't write it here. And then pinky finger for F. So first, the rest, then the fingerings are all the same. So I'm just going to play the whole thing through. If you're advanced enough to play along with me, you can do so. I'll count in 1 to 4, and then we'll start. And then we'll do it piece by piece. If you learn by ear, then just follow along with how you see my fingers on the oud, and use your ear to follow along. I'll also call out the note names as well. Okay, and we're just doing downstrokes, just nice strong downstrokes. All right, let me get the logo out of the way here. Okay, there you go. Now you can see that clearly. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so a couple things to note about fingering. So when we play in C major on the top 2 strings here, our finger position is in the second position. So that means our index finger is hitting the D note here. In first position, our hand is 1 semitone flatter, so that would be hitting the C sharp. But the second position brings your finger up to the D. So we need to practice getting this second position down using fingers 1 and 3. And this is a really easy etude so that you can master the finger movements and stretching. If you're still having trouble stretching your finger over from the first finger to the third finger, this is going to help you do that. And it's melodic, so it follows a melody that makes sense, and so that's what you got to do. When you move from the D note to the E note, your first finger stays there. You see how it's not there, it's not leaving, and then my second finger is just kind of hanging out there. My fourth finger is hanging out there, just making sure, just hovering above. just waiting to play, but it's not being called to play yet, so it's just hanging out there waiting, and it's ready. And you have one finger per semitone. You see how my fingers are nice and pretty equally spaced about the fingerboard? So if I played each of those notes at a time, you'd hear a half step progression. So that's a good finger exercise to do. Just play downstrokes. That helps you get the right finger spacing. So you can practice that on your own. Give that a try. And then let's try this piece by piece. So we're going to do the first two measures. Do, do, re, mi, do. Again. Do, do, re, mi, do. C, C, D, C, D, E, C. Okay, very slowly. And now the next two measures. So we're starting on D or re, mi, re, do, re, mi, do. D, E, D, C, D, E, C. Okay, so if you need time to practice that, you can practice this on your own. Try to get the stretch and listen. Use your ear to find the notes, and use your eyes as well to find the notes too. A lot of students, they're really struggling to get that stretch from the first finger to the third finger. So it's important to keep your first finger there and stretch that. Play very slowly. Try to catch that note. And if you can't do it, don't worry about it, because it's going to resolve itself over time. Over time, it'll become more. It'll get easier. Your fingers are adapting to a foreign object, and it needs time to adapt and get that stretch. There's no working around it. All it is practice, and you can do it too. And the melody, if you want to try humming the melody, it will help your musicality in your ear. So I think that's a good practice to do as well. As you watch this video, just hum the melody as you hear it. Na 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 na. And get that melody in your head, then you'll know how it sounds, and you'll hear whether your fingers are off or not. Okay, let's go to the second line. So we're playing do, re, mi, fa, and then that would be C, D, E, F. Then we stay on E with our third finger for 2 beats. E2, then F2 with our pinky finger. So this is challenging for beginners. So you may want to find the E note with your third finger, hang out there. Notice my 2 fingers here are just kind of hovering above the string. They're not pressing down so much. They're just kind of hovering there. Your fingers may kind of leave the fingerboard. That's okay. Most of the weight and your pressure is on the third finger and fourth finger. That's going to be natural, but try not to let them fly too much like this. Keep it close to the strings. And if you need a break at this point, just shake it out, shake out the hand, release some of the tension in your body, get back to it, take a deep breath. You need to do these things when you're practicing. So find that E note, and the little exercise you can do to stretch the pinky is just going E, F, E, F, E, F, E, F, and keeping all those fingers in line there. Okay, let's do that second line, the first 2 measures one more time. Do, re, mi, fa, mi, 2, fa, 4. Okay, that would be C, D, E, F, E, 2, F, 4. So I'm calling out the numbers because those are the beats in the measure. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the last two measures of this etude, we start on F. This is tricky too because it's hard to find where this F note is. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's try it. So, Fa, Mi, Re, Do, Re, Mi, Do. That would be F, E, D, C, D, E, C. Okay, so finding that F note. Now, the open C string sounds like this. The F note should sound completely in tune. La, la, la. Try to sing that. Try to use your voice. Should sound harmonious and sound in tune. These are 4 notes apart, and 4 notes apart sound pretty good together. They sound consonant. They sound harmonious. The frequencies gel together and don't interact in a bad way. That's why it sounds nice like that. So that's one way that you can find it. Another way that you can find it is if you've mastered finding the D note, then just put your second finger in front of your first finger, put your third finger in front of your second finger, then put your pinky finger in front of your third finger, and you'll be in the approximate place. You may need to adjust a little bit here and there. It takes practice. All right, so let's move on to the next etude, and then we'll keep going. So this next etude will be doing the notes on the G string, our second string, right? Okay, so again we have quarter note. Let me find this here. We have quarter note, and then half note. So this is 1 beat, 1 beat, 2 beats, 1 beat, 1 beat, 2 beats, 1 beat, 1 beat, 2 beats, and then here we have a new note that we haven't done yet in this lesson. We have a B flat, or C flat, or C bemol. This you use your second finger. You see how I put that here? La, you use your first finger. Sorry, I didn't put that there. It's the same fingering as D. I forgot to put it up there. Anyway, La or A, you use your first finger here. B natural, this one, we use our third finger, just like Mi or E. So that's 1, 3, and then open. Open here. Then we have open 3, 1, and then for the new note here we have 2. We use 2, our second finger. So let me play this one for you so that you can hear it. Here down we have F with our second finger, then we have E with our first finger. This is on the D string now, and then we have open D, E, and then C. C is with our second finger on the A string. So let me go through this slowly. If you're ready to follow along, you can try to sight read it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me count that with you so you hear how it counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that's how the fingerings look. Let's go through each note one by one so you can see that. Okay, G is, or Sol is just the second string. Notice when I stroke, my Risha here lands on the C string below it. It just kind of stops there, hangs out. Okay, so then La with our first finger, or A with our first finger, sounds like this. Then we have B natural with our third finger. Then we have open C. Okay, and then we have in the last measure there, we have a B flat with our second finger. That's here. And it sounds like this. Then F with our second finger on the D string. See how my hand is all in the same position. It's just hanging out here, and the fingers are just moving from one string to another. So here we go, F, F, F. Then take off your second finger, and you have E. Then you have open D. Then put down your first finger for E. And then second finger goes right parallel to where the F was, but on the A string. And you count that for 4 beats. Alright, so let's do this piece by piece. Let's do the first 2 measures, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. La, si, do. Okay, one more time. Sol, sol, sol. La, si, do. G, G, G. A, B, C. Okay, now the next 2 measures in the first line. We have do, si, la, si bemol, la, sol. Okay, so that was C, B, A, B flat, A, G. Okay, then second line we have F, 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 E, 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 D, E, C. So this is actually quite a lot. But now we know all the notes for the C major scale, or Makam Ajam on Do. Change the lighting here. Got the sun coming up and getting through the clouds, and it's getting dark and light and all this kind of stuff. Apologies for that. Okay, so now that we know all these notes, we can do the C major scale, starting on the low C here. This might be a little bit advanced, but let's look at the fingerings that we use. Start with our second finger, C with on the A string, then we have D, open, then we have E with first finger, then we have F with second finger. Keep your index finger down in case you want to come back to E, and then open G, then A with first finger, then B with third finger, then you have C, open. And you also know all the way up to F on the bottom C string too. Okay, so that's the C major scale. Alright, so that's basically what I wanted to show you today, these 2 etudes. If you're really beginning, if you just started playing the oud, this might be really difficult for you to play. So keep using this video, keep watching it and replay it, pause it from time to time, and try to figure out how you can get that finger stretch happening. Listen to the notes and try to make sure it sounds the same as the video. Alright? Okay, so now I want to address any questions you have about playing the oud. And we got some more sunlight. Nice. Okay, let's see if there's any comments or anything like that. If you have any questions up until now, please do put them in the chat and I will get to them. Alright. Okay. Alright. Hello from Canada. Hey. Alright. Okay, we can talk about ouds shortly. Let's see here. What app do I use for tuning? I use G Strings, I believe, for Android. I don't have an iPhone. I have an Android phone, and the app is called G Strings. That's it. G as the letter G. And does this tuning work on any oud? So it works on any oud, but you have to have the right string set. So some ouds have have the high F string. So some ouds don't have the low bass C string, and they start at F. So F would be here in this place. It would be F, A, D, G, C, and an extra high F. So if you have that string set on your oud, then you can't use this tuning. You can use this tuning, but you'd be looking at different strings than you'd be playing different strings than I'd be playing. So for example, your C string would be the second string, whereas mine is the first string from the bottom. So basically, you can use these etudes to play with on an oud that has the high F tuning, but your finger spacings are going to be looking different than me. You know, I'm playing up here, you're going to be playing the same thing on the second string, so it's a little bit different. All right. All right, learning Arabic violin. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so no questions, I guess, other than the oud questions, so that's great. Yeah. So once you learn this fingering here, you can play the C major scale. Now, one thing I want to talk about finger positions on the oud, which is really important for beginners to get a handle on things. So there's the first two basic positions that you get. When you play in the C major, you're in what I call is the second position. Your fingers are one semitone above the nut. Now in first position, your fingers are down here, closer to the nut. Right? So let's imagine playing on the high C string, you have that chromatic. But in the second position, your first note with the index finger is here. So that allows your pinky to reach a different note, a higher note, when you're in the second position. So in C major, because we have these, we want to reach up to F when we play C major. I usually start playing C major in the second position with my second finger on C, on the A string. This one here. So when you're playing, when you're improvising and you're playing different maqams and whatnot, you may start in a different position. You may start playing that C with your third finger. That's completely valid. You could start playing C major with that fingering too. But at some point you have to change. You see, it's all the same thing. It's just that different fingers. You're playing with the third finger, then E with the second finger, then F with the third finger. Then after you get to G, this is where you have to make a choice to decide where you're going. If you're going high and you need extra fingers, then you need to switch to the second position here to play A with your index finger, then B with your third finger, and then C, D, E, F, you know, and then you can, if you need to go higher, you can switch at that point, you know, like that. You have to jump, you know, when you play different positions. There's different ways of going about it. What finger you use depends on where you're going, how high you're going, and where you're coming back to. For example, I could play the C major scale starting in the first position with my third finger on C, and then if I'm not going to go anywhere higher, I could just play the A note with my second finger. That's fine. If I'm going even higher, but I know I'm not going to go too high, I could even play B with my fourth finger too. Usually though, I just default to using the second position for this for C major, but it depends on, you know, what tune you're playing, what notes are in the song and stuff like that. For example, if I'm playing Maqam Nahawand is a great scale to learn, a great maqam to learn, to show you the first position on the oud, because you start with your third finger on C, then D open, then first finger on E flat, then third finger on F, and that's why you stay in that first position, because you need your first finger to be all the way back here, not up here, back here. Then we got open G. Then we have A flat. Then on the way up we have B natural, and you use your pinky finger. Then we have open C. Then for D you can stay and use your second finger. And if you're gonna come back down, then you can use B flat with your third finger, then A flat with your first finger, Sol, F, and then E flat, B, C, and you're back there. But let's say you want to go up to the F in Makam Nahawan. Then you have to change your hand position. So you see how my hand shifted up so that I could play D with my index finger. Then I stayed in this same position. I played B with my third finger, just like we were doing with the C major scale. And then at that point I shifted down with my first finger to play A flat. That's what I mean by shifting hand positions. So this is first position. This is second position. And that's really, most of oud playing can be played with these first two positions. Most of the basic oud repertoire can be played. So yeah, focus on that. Focus on, thinking about where you're going. If you're teaching yourself how to play the oud, think about those decisions you have to make. All right, so that's about it for today. If you have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer. Let's see. Okay. Is there a finger position chart on foundation program? Yeah, there is a finger position chart for the basic maqams. It shows where it is. Let me see it. Let me review it. I haven't looked at it in a while, so I can't remember what's in there. Let me bring it up here and tell you what's in it. I'll show you an example of what it looks like, perhaps. Okay, so the finger position, the charts that I have in the foundation program, they show the notes and where to find them on the fingerboard, not necessarily what fingers you're going to use. That's a different topic. I didn't put the fingerings in because the fingerings are always going to be different depending on how you play, what you're playing. So it doesn't always apply. But this is what the finger charts look like. I'll show you here. A second. Okay, so this is what it looks like here. We've got Kurd, Makam Kurd. We got the notation here, and then you've got the red notes are the opening, the main root of the maqam, and then you've got the notes, the open strings. This is what they are, how they're tuned as well. C, G, D, A, F, C, and then you've got where they are in relation to the fingerboard. You can see how the major fifth, G is right where the fingerboard meets the neck, or the neck meets the body of the oud. And so you've got D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. The notes that are present here are found in Makam Kurd. So yeah, that's what the finger charts look like in the foundation program. They're there to show you what notes are used in the maqam, in the basic maqams. Alright, so yeah, that's what that looks like. It doesn't show you the fingerings. The fingerings always change. You need the videos to kind of train you on what fingerings to use. It's always different, like, because I could play maqam. I usually play Makam Kurd in the first position. my first finger and B flat with my second finger, so that if I wanted to do some kind of ornamentation, then I have that pinky finger to do some ornamentation with. So the fingerings are always changing depending on what you're playing, how you're playing. If you're playing very basically, I might stay in the first position the whole time. There, but I'm just staying in the first position to play everything, right? But if you need to go higher, then you need to change your position, so the fingerings are going to change. All right, good question. Let's see if there's any more. Okay. So how many positions are there for the hand? There are at least 2. Now there are more positions, but I don't really call them positions in my way of teaching. It's not really important, like, what hand position it is. It's just important to know, to think about how you shift and what notes you're playing. So I don't really think about positions besides the first 2 positions. I don't think it's necessary. As I learned the Oud, I didn't even talk about positions. Like when I was learning the Oud, my teacher didn't teach me what hand positions there were. He just taught me the notes, what fingers you usually use for those notes, and it changes depending on what you're playing. So it's very different. Like you don't need to really think about so many hand positions. There are some Oud methods out there that use different hand positions and call different places, different hand positions, but it's not that useful after a while. The Oud is a pretty simple instrument. They call this, some whatever hand position, but it's at a certain point, it's not that meaningful. All right. What's the difference between Ajam and Nahawand? They both seem to start on C. So, good question. Very good question. Okay, I want you to just use your ear here and listen to how it sounds. What do you feel? Think about how you feel when I play these 2 tunes. I feel when I hear that. I hear very happy sounds. It sounds very joyous. It's very bright and light-hearted. Now let's listen to something in Nahawand. Let's see here. Sounds much more moody and much more kind of romantic, right? It's completely different scale. It's like major and minor in Western music. If you think about the intervals that are different. So it starts on C. this, look at Makam Ajam or C major. Starts on C, then you have a whole step to D. The interval is a whole step. You have from C to D, you have a whole step. Then from D to E, you have another whole step, so a very wide gap. Then from E to F, you have a half step, smaller gap, smaller distance between the notes. Then from F to G, you have a larger gap, a larger wide whole step. Then you have another whole step to A. Then A to B, you have another whole step. Then you have a half step to finish off. So you have whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That's the interval between the notes. But in Maqam Nahawan, the intervals are different. You have from C to D, you have whole step. Then from D to E flat, you have half step. That changes the character right away. C major, then Maqam Nahawan. So it changes automatically. That's the differences between the notes. So in C major, you're playing C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. In Nahawan, you're playing C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B natural, C. Very different. And then when you descend Nahawan, you use B flat sometimes. So it sounds completely different to me anyway. Alright, any more questions before I go? Yeah, it's very dark. It's very dark. Alright, tremolo picking. Any tips? Yeah. For tremolo picking, make sure that you just practice regularly. First of all, that's one thing. Practice the downstrokes and develop strength in your arm. Don't be afraid of the strings. Hit nice and hard as you're playing, and do nice, consistent. Consistency is important for tremolo. Speed is not important for tremolo. Consistent strokes is important for tremolo. For example, you can play a beautiful tremolo that's very relaxed, not so fast. Stuff like that. It's not so fast like this. This has its place too, but speed is not so important. So go for consistency. When you do the stroking, try to increase your speed. Don't let as soon as you hear your hand falter and start to get weak, then you have to find your comfort zone. Pull back, don't go so fast. If you hit other strings, don't worry about it. Just make sure you show the strings who's boss and can develop that consistency. Then slowly speed up the amount of notes that you're playing. All right, so yeah, that's what I would say for tremolo. Yeah, so there's unfortunately no chance I can do some electric oud with distortion. Don't have an electric oud these days. All right, so thanks so much for joining me today. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope that gave you something to practice. Next week we'll also be doing more of this stuff. And so we'll do another YouTube live doing some more beginner lessons. Like I said, we're also doing promo on Skype and Zoom lessons this month until the end of January only. So, and there's limited availability left. So I'll put the link in the description box right now. 1 second here. The link is already in the description. I'll put it in the chat. The way it works is that you purchase your lessons first. It's 2 lessons for $80, 2 45-minute lessons for $80. You purchase first, and then it sends you to the calendar where you can book the lessons. If the time slots that are available don't work, I can always give you a refund, so don't worry about that. I can also work out another time for you if the available slots don't work so well. But if you want to book your spot right away, you can purchase at that link that I put in the chat. If you want to learn something very specific, I'll do my best to accommodate. Or if you want to learn a specific maqam, this is a great opportunity to get a little boost on your oud playing. So check that out. I also wanted to share with you a nice comment that somebody made about the foundation program. And this was just last week, actually. Somebody wrote this, made a comment on the foundation program. He says, I'm a 75-year-old who plays finger-picking acoustic guitar. I took many guitar lessons, so I'm familiar with music theory. I always wanted to learn the oud, but the obstacles of purchasing one and finding the right courses prevented me from acting till I found Oud for Guitarists on YouTube. I thought the lessons were expensive till I joined and was pleasantly surprised by the quality, depth, and practical approach of teaching the oud. The one knock against this site is that it does not explain in depth its true value. The one regret I have, I wish I had joined sooner. So thanks, Gary, for saying that. That was very nice to hear. I'll do my best to try to convey to people the depth of the true value of the foundation program. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So thank you for that. I just want to thank the people that are enjoying the lessons, and thanks for joining me today on the YouTube live. It really is awesome to see 20 some people join to learn oud and to study more. So check those links out. If you have any questions, you can always email me. I'm always available at support@oudforguitarists.com. There you go. All right, another question here. Been learning for about 8 months, still can't seem to grasp playing songs that I want. I try humming it, going up and down in tune, still no luck. That's a good question. 8 months it depends on how you're learning too. I'd have to see, are you learning with sheet music? Are you learning completely by ear? It takes a longer time to learn repertoire when you're learning by ear, unless you're really spending a lot of time and energy into it, and you're really able to grasp it quickly. Learning by ear is completely valid and completely fine, but when you have the help of notes that you can look at you in front of you and you can read at the same time as playing, and focus on one section, read it, learn how to play it, then move on to the next section. It helps a lot with note reading. So it depends on what your skills are, how you've learned, how systematically you've been teaching yourself. Everybody's kind of different, and everybody needs different teaching or learning tools to help them develop the way that they want to. For example, some people are really quick with learning by ear. Some people are more analytical. They want to see the notes. They want to read the notes. Everybody's kind of different, so it's kind of complicated. If you want, though, if you want to talk about it a bit more and kind of see if there's any in-depth tips. You can also book a free consultation with me, and I might be able to give you some tips. Let me get my calendar link for that. 1 second here. So here at this link, you can book a consultation with me. If you're wondering how I can help you learn the oud better or more efficiently, I can have chatting with you will help me understand a bit better how you're playing, what your weakness is, what your strength is, and so I can gauge a bit easier. So yeah, this post will be available to watch later, so don't worry about that. I have an old oud from Nazi Gadban, but the oud changed because of humidity. What do I do with it? It's likely it is repairable. You need to find a good luthier to take a look at it. Where do you live, Omar? Let me know where you live, and I can recommend somebody to you. San Francisco, California. Okay, well, you're in luck. There is Dr. Oud in California. I believe he's in Sacramento. Let me give you the contact information for Dr. Oud. So Dr. Oud is a great guy. I've actually got my one of my ouds a long time ago, like 10 years ago, repaired by him. Here we go. Let's find him here. Okay, well, I'll send you his link to his website. So that's Dr. Oud's website there. His contact page. You can read about his work. He's excellent. His name is Richard. I believe he's in Sacramento. And yeah, he's got so much experience repairing ouds. I'm sure he can repair your oud no problem. So do look him up. And you'll be in good hands, believe me. The other options for repairing an oud would be in New York State with John Vergara. Let me find his website for you. John Vergara is your second option if Richard Hankey can't help you. John Vergara, you can send your oud to New York State to his workshop there. He has made ouds for Simon Shaheen. He works closely with Najib Shaheen, Simon's brother, repairing ouds and stuff. So he's also a good choice if Richard can't help you. But look up Richard first because he's in your backyard. That would be what I would do. But yeah, I'm sure your oud is going to be repairable, no problem about it. There was one more question here. Do I have a fan page on Instagram? Well, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll find that page for you. One moment. Give me my link to Instagram here. Yes, so John and Richard both make new ouds. I don't know the details. You'd have to check out their website, but yes, they are making new ouds as well. But I'm sure your Nazi Qadban Oud will be more than repairable. But yeah, ask them and see what they think. All right, so that's it for me. Thanks for joining me today, guys, and have a nice evening, a good day wherever you might be. And stay tuned, sign up for the Oud for Guitarists newsletter, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.